want to get to the phone calls here for Charles Johnson of Little Green Footballs. Before we do, just a couple other points in terms of the 10-pointer you wrote concerning your shift. Right-wing blogosphere you mentioned, that's almost universally dominated by raging hate speech. Hot air, free republic, for example.
Yes,
being primary
very much
example.
So. I mean, one of the big problems for me was after the abortion doctor, Dr. George Tiller, was murdered. The kinds of comments that were posted on right-wing blogs, and especially Free Republic and some of the other blogs.
Free Republic has always done that.
Were just hideous. I mean, it really was revolting to read that stuff. And it wasn't just a little bit. It was hundreds and hundreds of these comments.
Well, if you go to if you go to Hot Air Free Republic at any time, you'll see those kinds of comments on any given day. Anti-Islamic bigotry that goes far beyond criticizing radical Islam, supporting fascism, violence, and genocide.
Yes, absolutely.
And we mentioned the people we mentioned earlier. You mentioned them, Pan Geller and Robert Spencer.
Right. Well, these are big problems for me because, like I said, it's never been about criticizing Muslims in general for me. It's about criticizing the ideology of radical Islam, which is a threat to our Western way of life. But when you take that into generalizing to all Muslims, then you've crossed the line into bigotry.
Hatred for President Obama that goes beyond simply policy criticism into racism, hate speech, bizarre conspiracy theories. Tea parties, witch doctor pictures, the Hitler stuff they've done at these rallies.
Yeah,
it is far.
I put up, I think, about 4 or 5 posts that were consisting of nothing but photos that I found around the web from tea parties of signs that were just. There was a barrage of hatred that was. Yeah. Really, really disturbing stuff.
Would you say you're
very anti-government and irrational?
Would you say you're a liberal now?
I think I've always been a liberal in the classic sense. In the sense that I believe in personal freedoms and social liberalism. Yeah. I'm in favor of women's rights. I'm in favor of equal rights for all races. So I don't think I ever left the liberal side.
Right. Let's go to Jimmy in Lubbock, Texas, with Charles Johnson. Jimmy.
Hello, Alan.
Hi.
And hello, Charles in the Lizard Nation. This is Shiplord Carroll, Charles.
Hey, Shiplord.
I've been posting at Little Green Football since shortly after 9/11, and I've stuck with it through this. And your experience with the right, Charles, kind of mirrors mine. I'm especially interested in anti-science, and I like the way you've pointed out the parallels between the way the right wing treats different kinds of scientific issues. Now, the global warming denialists sound a lot like creationists and ID proponents, and there's a broad range of scientific issues where that's the case.
Yes.
I think that in a lot of cases, the right has managed to conflate science with elitism.
Yeah.
Alan, you were asking a few minutes ago why we have this opposition to global warming among ordinary people, and I think that's the reason. I think the global warming propaganda machine, or the anti-global warming propaganda machine, has managed to convince people that science and some kind of left-wing academic elitism.
Well, they go to these fancy colleges, these Ivy League schools, with all these elitists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, thank you very much. Jim,
that's a really big one for me,
hold on, Jim.
The anti-science thing is one of my biggest points.
Yeah, and we saw that during the Bush administration. Jim in Raleigh, hi.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. Did you ever get a chance to play or record with Miles Davis?
No, actually, I never did play with Miles. I always wished I had. Unfortunately, not.
All right, thank you very much. What are your plans for Little Green Footballs going forward?
I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I'm trying to just call it like I see it. I still have a lot of readers, and I'm doing what I do. That's all I'm doing.
Well, you were is this a full-time gig for you now? Is this all you do?
Yes, it is.
I mean, I don't mean to say, that's all you do. I mean, that's a lot. That is a full-time job doing a website.
Well, believe me, and especially when you have a website that gets 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 comments a day, it's a lot of work.
So this is what you're devoted to, and have you increased readership since this all happened, or have you lost a little bit?
As a matter of fact, it has actually increased. Right after the election, there was a real sudden downturn in traffic, and I think it wasn't just for LGF, but for a whole lot of websites that deal with politics, and I think maybe it was partly because of a lot of people were weary of politics at that point. But since then, it's been on a pretty steady increase.
You didn't do this, though, with a calculated effort to get more followers. You definitely did it out of your personal sense of decency and decorum. Right. What is Lizardoid?
Lizardoid stems from a little altercation that I had with the Indie Media left-wing website way back in the beginning of LGF, and I wrote a very sarcastic post once because they had posted a conspiracy theory that I was in the pay of the Zionists and all kinds of craziness, and I said, well, you don't really know how evil it is, because in truth I'm a lizardoid creature from the planet Idamisti.
And what does Little Green Footballs mean?
Well, I'm afraid that's going to have to be remaining a secret. I can tell you it has something to do with an incident that happened to me in Japan when I was 20 years old.
And that's as much as we're going to know, huh?
That's as much as I'm at liberty to reveal.
All right, Charles. I thank you so much for coming on the program tonight, and I wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much for having me, Alan.
Thank you, sir. Thanks very much. Charles Johnson, the founder of Little Green Footballs. And we will be back at 877-367-2526.